his bitch now. We also have Kaidus back on the panel, not just a guest anymore. Kaidus, you've been upgraded. John on the camera, and our guests tonight are not superstar players. Well, maybe they are as well, but they are the people who pull the strings behind Team Fortress 2, and especially Insomnia 55. We've got nymthae, the TF2 tournament admin, the big boss when it comes to Insomnia 55. And then we have Dashner and Mana, just a couple of production scrubs from Team Fortress TV. But Sideshow, do you think it's fair to say that Dashner is the new bite this year?
The new bite. I haven't seen his demo man play, but I would hope he doesn't play like that. No, yeah, in terms of how he's organising I-55 and things like that, yeah, definitely. Perhaps even at I-52, he's taking on a lot of the responsibilities, but he's the man with the plan for this LAN.
So we don't really have, speaking of plans, like we don't really have a great plan for this episode. Really, what it boils down to, I think, is that there's been a lot of planning and organisation going on behind the scenes, primarily on the Team Fortress TV Slack. So we're gonna like draw back the curtain here, guys, and reveal as much as we can about all the plans for Insomnia 55 that we know of so far. There's been some drama. There was a lot of, I don't know, gnashing of teeth on Slack over the last few weeks. There was a lot of uncertainty as whether there would be enough tickets, even for the TF2 players, but things seem to have come good in the end. You breathed a sigh of relief, Dashner, right?
Yeah, I was kind of scared for a second. I mean, we did have a backup plan for just having a few of the teams there, but it really wouldn't have been the same. So I'm really happy it's still going to be a community tournament, and multiplayer is really coming through for us. So I'm pretty excited for the event.
So a kind of a recap here. Currently, we have 2 North American teams funded, right? What's the status of Froyotech fundraiser?
The Froyotech fundraiser is pretty much completed. I just talked to Shade and Banny last night, and they're booking their flights. Ascent's just waiting on a few last things, and they're going to be booking their flights too. I think there's tickets actually got allocated for multiplayer today, so yeah, they're good to go. As far as I know, they're ready to go, and they're booking this week.
And for the EU teams, TLR completed their fundraiser a while ago. There was all the uncertainty over the tickets. Multiplayer had kindly stepped up and said they would get us tickets for the top 3 or 4 teams anyway, but what is the actual status of Reason Gaming right now, Kaidus? Do you guys all have tickets for LAN? Accommodation, travel? Are you ready to go?
I think everyone who's confirmed on our roster has got a ticket. Like, we still have this kind of question mark over the last scout, but I think the other 5 of us will have tickets and transport arranged. I think Nox said he was getting a train, so I don't think he's booked it yet, but it's a train, so I don't think there's much to worry about.
Sideshow, do you know the status of the other top teams? You know, Nerd Rage, TLR, are they booked? Are they good to go?
No, I don't know the status of them. I think they all tried to get booked as possible.
They got
Did they
tickets.
try,
I don't know
really?
anything else.
Do you know something, nymthae?
No, but all I heard is 600 tickets have been sold out of the 1,000 that were released, and none of them involved, well, I think about 4 of them involved the 23 or so players that didn't have tickets, so...
Zebo bought like 3 or 4 tickets. I think he just bought them for his team and he'll distribute them later and sort it out. He did the same thing for Insomniac last year as well. Like, he just has money spare, so buys them and gets it back later.
Yeah, as far as
TLR said they're buying the rest of their tickets tomorrow as well. My source is Seroton in the stream chat. I haven't done any prior research, but they said
They're buying
them
their tickets tomorrow.
They always say that. Yesterday they said tomorrow. Just do it, Seroton.
nymthae, I need you to just, you know, fix them a stare in the camera there and tell them how urgent this is. Like, how much does I-55 depend on people buying tickets now?
Really? Do I have to?
Wag your finger like
I can wag my finger, yeah. We need to get shit together. You're causing me all headaches, and I don't like it. And you're ruining the event for everyone else. So, if not for yourself, book it for Admirable, who's not going to be there. We got to have all the fun, make him really envious.
Just do it. Just do it.
I'm gonna cry. Mana, you're right. One little question then, Mana, maybe you can answer. What is the status of the production fundraiser?
Actually, I don't know anything about it. Dashner
Wow.
can handle all that. But as far as we know, we're all pretty good on like gear. We're doing pretty well on gear, and I mean, Dash and I haven't paid for everything since the start of the event, basically. So I mean, I'm basically covered. I don't really need any money, honestly. Kevin, his pwn had to drop out. Aaron is covered, I believe.
Yep.
And then Aaron? Yeah, Aaron is good. And then I think some of the money is being used for tag, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much all the money for the foreseeable future is going to be used for tag, unless we get a lot of donations. Everything else is just going to go towards tag's flight, because we've pretty much paid for everything else. Like, I think between me and Mana, we've paid for about $2,000 worth of audio gear the past few weeks, so we're pretty much good to go on all the expenses that the fundraiser was gonna pay for.
I know we had the article on Teamfortress.tv not so long ago about the fundraiser and sort of giving a little bit of roster rundown for the production crew, but Dashner, maybe you could spell it out for the people here on Twitch. Who's coming? What are they going to be doing for you?
Well, we have me and Mano there. Mano's going to be handling logistics. I'm going to be heading production like I did at I-52. Aaron, like I said, is going to be there heading our audio. He did all the audio engineering at GXL, which was probably the only thing that actually went right at that event. So I definitely wanted to bring that system back. David the Wind's going to be doing camera on stream 1 for pretty much the entire event. Sim is going to be heading up stream 2. We have Blue and Ari back from I-52. They're going to be heading the technical production. We have Tag and Uberchain. Uberchain coming from North America. They're going to be handling photography and videography. And we have Wolf Machina also handling tech assistance. And for casting, then we have Gex and Sideshow leading it up, and a bunch of others. Not so sure about the other casters right now. We're still fleshing that out a bit.
But you've got Gex and Sideshow as your anchormen.
Yep, that's the plan. They're going to lead the event.
Sideshow, do you feel that weight on your shoulders, man? It's weighing you down. Are you gonna
maybe
choke?
weighed you down when you were caster of the season? Maybe that's why the finals for I-52 was such a dribble fest, you know, with you there dragging down Lang with that huge anchor on your neck. But no, in terms of me, I'm fine. I got my caster of the season. I'm on an up. This is just me and Gex ruling the roost. I'm ready for it.
What sort of preparation are you doing for LAN then, Sideshow? You know, how are you gonna?
I'm gonna be warming my voice box up a little. I'll just be doing like straight 4 hours of that for the finals. I'm gonna arrive in a completely different car because the Poopmobile is not reliable and will probably get me there about a week late. I'll be drinking copious amounts as well because you gotta like loosen all of that with alcohol's the best thing for that actually. Alcohol really loosens it up.
That's what all the classical singers say for sure. Kaidus, you could potentially be involved with the production. I've heard rumors of a analyst desk. Dashner, you want to chime in on that?
Something we're thinking about. Like something I learned at GXL is to not push too far, because if you get too ambitious, the stream falls apart. So I'm trying to play it safe this time, but it's something I would really like to do, preferably when stream 2 is kind of lived out its life and it's not needed anymore. I could definitely see a full analyst panel. It's something I think we're going to do for finals at least, absolutely.
Would that be a reason, perhaps a consolation at least, Kaidus, if you didn't make it to the final? Would you take some solace in being on the analyst desk?
Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. I mean, watching the final is normally pretty fun as well. I-52 excluded, but, you know, it's fun just to watch. Either way, I'm happy. It'll be cool though, like, for the game. I think it's something that's quite lacking at the moment. Especially when you watch like other games and see how they're doing it. The betweeny bits in TF2 are pretty dry.
Yeah, true. I think Sideshow's died a little bit there. He's just messaged us on Mumble. But one thing I'd like to get stuck into a little bit here. I suppose it's the overarching topic of what's going to be different from I-52 to I-55. But something you feel passionately about, Kaidus, is the tournament structure. We've got nymthae here. I want to see a battle. Kaidus versus nymthae. Who's going to win? Who's going to get their way with the tournament structure?
Probably me, because I get the final button.
Probably because I have
It's not really a
no
fair fight.
power whatsoever. So.
What about an angry army of Twitch nerds banging at your door, nymthae, demanding that you do Jason Allen's bidding? Kaidus, give us your thoughts on the tournament structure, or what you'd like to see different this time around compared to last time.
Well, like I feel like the main problem last time was there was just too many games in too short a space of time, and by the time we got to the final, it was pretty obvious that the quality of play you were seeing was suffering a lot. And I mean, you can throw arguments here and there about what teams could have done differently and all that, but I think overall the circumstances like teams coming from the lower bracket had to compete with was just too much. And so many of the games were pointless. Like, they don't provide any extra entertainment to the people at home. Like, you have multiple kind of good games going on at the same time. The invite group was too big. You have so many like if you're like a number 1, 2, or 3 like team in the invite group, you're kind of glued to your PC playing all day. Like, you don't get many breaks. You can't really look to the next game and prepare for it. Like, the next important game, you kind of have to just sit around, and wait to play some 8 opponent that you're going to roll over. But it ends up like you wait 10 minutes for them to get on the server, then there's something fucked up, you got to wait 15 minutes to play, and then you play for 10 minutes, and then you do it all over again. There was just too much like messing around, and just like too much like filler, I guess. Like, there was so much filler that it just ended up ruining actually some of the real like the core like games.
We've been kind of refining things though. Like, if you think about Ice Series historically, it used to be like the groups where everyone was in. We didn't have this invite group, and then it was maybe like F2 who suggested it. Having been to a few Ice Series, he really lamented the fact that Epsilon only got to play a selection of the top teams. So it's like been progress, but now we've got to this point. You want to see the invite group restrict it even further, like an even tighter grouping of the top teams there? You think 8 is too much?
I think playing seven group games, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, I don't know.
I think we just I don't know what. I think we went for 8 because the numbers worked historically, and I think we had sort of the teams, but didn't really. I mean, my current plan is to roll with 6 this time, so you should see a reduction in those couple of games, and then probably move the first couple of rounds of the double elimination into Friday night. So you stop the same on Friday, but you'll have fewer games on Saturday. And because of the moving of the finals, hopefully we'll be playing finals later, so we can push the lower final into Sunday. So again, you can go to bed much earlier. So I'm aiming, hopefully, to get about a 9 PM finish on Saturday. So you've got plenty of time to go to bed, no whining, done.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense, because I think one of the big problems with I-52 was it was like, suddenly you had, 8 hours less of tournament to work with, but as many games as the year before, and it just didn't work, basically. So I think I think it's good. Like, it would be better this time, even if we use just last year's setup, it would be better, just because the final can potentially be later. But I still think we should be aiming to get the best games possible, not as many decent games, because I think that was kind of how it seemed like it was lately. The last one, maybe the last 2 lands, it was just get as many fucking games in there as you can, and it doesn't really matter if teams are tired and shattered and have had no time to prepare for their opponents. All of that just kind of went out the window, and it was like, right, let's just get as many as we can going, and whatever. And it kind of caught up to people last year, I think. But yeah, it sounds much better if it's 6 teams invite, and then some of the games are kind of moved around a bit. It sounds a lot better.
Are those group games going to be best of 3s then, or will it be best of 1?
No, it should be best of 1. Because if we've got 6 teams, you're still getting 5 rounds or so. There's not really enough time to do that, but it does mean we could maybe play around with later games, so we can either do a final maybe best of 5, or we can stick an earlier best of 3 if it's worth it. But we've got to make that call.
I think really there's enough games, if you just with the groups reduced slightly in the brackets and stuff. I think there was enough games already.
Yeah.
I think if we have more time to work with, it would be better to try and focus on getting the most out of the games we have, rather than trying to find ways to work again more matches in, or more maps. A best of 5 final would be pretty cool. If that's doable, that would be the one that I'd maybe like to see. But I think in a 16-team bracket with only really 1 day in which great need to get more. As long as the bracket is best of 3, almost all the way. I don't think there's any real need to like throw more maps in. I think it's better to kind of just allow more time basically for each game or between games and later starts, earlier finishes, things like that. I think it would be better because there really are like if you just take I-52 or I-49, there was so many good games and all that. I don't think there's any real need for there to be more. Just do everything we can to prevent like teams being dead by the final.
Would you be biased at all, kaidus, with your injury? You know.
Well, yeah, like when I was discussing this with people before, like on Slack, the first thing I said, it was like, this is just my opinion, and I'm aware I have a large bias in this. But like, if you go to like I-52, I didn't have any sort of hand or anything like that. You know, I played all my matches. I didn't really feel any problem while we were playing them. It was just kind of like looking at other teams playing and like the times we started. I just felt exhausted, man. It wasn't anything to do with my injury or anything like that. I just felt fucking exhausted, like finishing at like midnight or like getting back to the hotel at midnight at earliest and then to be back at the venue to play at 9 a.m. It drained you, man. Like, I don't think it was best for the event to do it like this.
nymthae, are you going to be tougher on the time waster this time? Like, you know, previous LAN events, teams often don't respect the schedule. Would you be willing to whip out the default hammer and lay the smackdown on some nerds who don't show up to their games on time?
I get default because we lose. Play don't want to see that happening either because it looks bad for the tournament. So it sounds like a lot of empty threats, but to be honest, I want to go to bed as much as kaidus does. I have to get up earlier than the teams, so basically, yeah, sure, I'm quite happy to do it. And if it's best of 3, I don't mind chucking a map out the window and saying tough shit. And that's how it's going to be this year. I think teams know the score.
I like it. And Dashner, Anna, how does this proposed like 6-team invite group affect the scheduling of the matches? There's going to be 3 games at a time, so are we having 2 streams again this year?
We're definitely having 2 streams. We were debating having it off-site this year, maybe having somebody like Massa just run the stream at home to make more room on site, but I think we're going to be doing like a 52, 2 streams on site. That's pretty much guaranteed at this point to cover the most games, because we don't want to be missing like really crucial games that are happening, because that happened a lot at I-52. Not missing games, but there were a lot of really good games that weren't happening on stream 1, so we're definitely going to be running 2 concurrent streams on TFTV.
Incredible. Something Sideshow's back with us. Sideshow, I want you to chime in on this. Something we haven't really mentioned specifically here is that along with these 1,000 new seats, there is a new tent being thrown up, and TF2 are adopting that. They've got a stage in the middle of it. Tell us what you know.
What do I know? I know there's a tent. There's a big tent that creating the car park that should be able to house, I think, the entirety of those 1,000 new seats. Is it? I don't know. It seemed fairly large when we had a look at it. It's going to have all our production in. It's going to have a little area for some seating, more a la I-49 really than I-52, because at I-52 we had kind of the stage and the back room area as well. But
the Sideshow just
has he gone again? Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, maybe I'll just ask someone who actually knows. Dashner.
He's
now
back,
he's talking again. I see his mouth moving, but I can't hear him. Rest in peace, Josh Wilkinson.
Box internet is pretty shoddy, it turns out.
We're getting a big ass 10 and we have a stage in the middle of it. I can confirm.
So, like, compared to last year's stage, which was like a proper stage in a little auditorium type place, what sort of sacrifices are going to be made for this temporary stage? Like, is it going to be really cramped? Are you going to have both streams there, or will one of them?
We're going to try to have both streams there. It's definitely going to be a lot more cramped. Seating's not going to... Well, maybe. I've looked at the floor plan. I'm not sure how seating's going to compare to I-52, but definitely for the casters it's going to be a lot more cramped because you had at least a few meters away from stream 1 and stream 2. So it's gonna be a mini stage like you saw at I-49 for sure, as far as I know.
I think Sideshow's throwing the towel in here, guys. He says, "Fuck it, rip. I'm not needed. R.I.P."
Rest in peace. For some reason, now I can hear you perfectly, and now I'm talking perfectly. But I'm sure that won't last at all. I'll leave
Do you
you
want
guys
to just
to
stay on
discuss
Mumble?
it. No, Mumble was messing up as well. I'll call it quits. The internet here is not usable on this laptop. I won't plague you anymore with my inning and outing. We've had enough of that with the DDoS in the high playoffs tonight.
Oh my god. So Sideshow's just going to throw the towel in. That's what you can expect from him in Slot 55. Come on, Gex. You got to carry the can. You're actually going to leave, Sideshow. Oh, he's gone. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit more crumped. Is there going to be seating around this?
Oh no, there's definitely going to be spectator seating. Their multiplayer is being really good. They're making space for that. I'm just not sure how much it's going to be compared to last year. Might be a bit more cramped. But I've heard rumors that we might have our streamer laid in the bar that's going to be nearby to the tent. Maybe nymthae can confirm.
You know as much as I do. This is what they're toying with. So because we're not getting a final on the stage, they do realise we've had quite a good crowd in the previous years, and chances are we can't fit that in kind of the seating area. So it makes perfect sense, and we're next to the bar. So
I suddenly feel very jealous that I'm not going to LAN. You're going to have TF2 action of the highest caliber streamed into a bar.
well, apparently there's going to be a bar next to the tent or something like that as well. So we're basically going to have our own bar.
Yeah.
Like Fuller's bar, basically. We took over that if you're back in the Newbury days.
It's not too late to go, ads.
It is, I can't go. Or I would be... I don't know. No, definitely can't go. Anyway, we've talked a little bit about the production setup, but like in the lead up to
kind of all our standard stuff. You know, maybe we'll set. I doubt we'll set up any more new. Oh, one show match coming up, right? That's with Froyo and
Maybe,
Reason, correct?
know.
Maybe.
I've left it up to the teams to schedule that. I haven't heard anything from Froyo.
Oh, because the teams are so fucking reliable. Oh my god. Kaidus, what's happening with the show match?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. What is it for? Is it for them to raise money? Shouldn't they come to us or
It's
something?
for the supplementary fundraiser. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
all
like
on
I figured
Froyotech
they
right
the
now.
one who need it, so I'd hear from them at some point. Like we're happy to play and stuff, but we don't need to raise money, so we're not going. We're not going out of our way to do it. But if they want to, they can get in contact. We'll help them out, but they gotta actually do something first.
Yeah. Similarly, I have better things to do, so I'm leaving it up to Froyotech if they want to do it or not. But tentatively, maybe one in August.
But yeah, our big thing is that we're going to do a lot more promotion this year. A new thing we're doing is that we're really doing a lot of stuff with Reddit and other TF2 sites also. So I think we're definitely going to push that a lot harder this year. So I think we've had good results in the past when we've done them, but I think this year will be monster. It will be huge.
Okay, we have recruited like a lot of creative staff. I mean, we've got Uberchain in our Slack, creator of the incredible in-game uniforms. Are we going to see uniforms for A55, Dashner?
Yep, absolutely 100% confirmed.
Yep.
Uberchain and myself are going to set some time aside in the next few weeks to get something done for Nerd Rage, TLR, and Reason. Probably just whatever jerseys the organizations throw us. I know TLR is just a black shirt with the logo, but we're probably going to come up with something new for them. But otherwise, we're just copying the jerseys the orgs have, and I think that's great. I know some person on TFT was saying it's distracting, but I think it's a really big deal that we can put the sponsor branding out there for their exposure in the TF2's biggest event all year.
How is it distracting?
Totally agree.
I don't know. Ask him.
You have to be like
I
really
think they're
simple-minded. Like you can't look past a little icon on a T-shirt. Oh my god!
I mean, how much more distracting can you get when you already have like all these different like accessories and hats and in different colors too, with like unusual effects. Like, you can't get any more distracting than that, honestly. So I think adding uniforms is a huge benefit with like basically 0 loss. Also, another thing that we're doing really soon, especially, is adding new TFTV emotes. I think that's going to be a really good thing, and I'm really excited to have them because I've seen what we're going to put in there, and it's going to be really fun for all you salty Twitch chatters.
Yeah, our emotes have needed a revamp for a while. Like, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Please don't steal the donk.
We
I
want
need
to
it.
Yeah, we're not going to steal any emotes that are already on the channel. Like, we're not going to steal like Carnage's meat shot because that'd be just, I don't know, it'd be insulting to him. And we won't steal anything from your channel, etc.
I need this $15 a month from Twitch, so please.
I want Twitch chat to know. I want to go on the record here to say that I fought long and hard to get the lol HL emote into our Twitch emotes, but I was overruled by the boss himself, Big Carl Yangsheng. Did not want it. Didn't want to antagonize the Highlander community, even though I thought it was, you know, endearing. Lol HL did not make the cut.
I also wanted it, and like I was eventually convinced myself that I wanted it, but yeah, Nick denied that one. But we still have a lot of good ones, so don't worry about it.
But they could turn that one around, you know. They could use it positively for themselves.
Exactly.
Turn it back on
claim
us. When it's a great Highlander game, they can like use it facetiously.
But the question is, Kaidus, will they?
I thought the question was going to be, will there ever be a good Highlander game?
Oh, well, that's also a question too. Yeah.
I'm saying they could, you know.
Shots fired. Any discussion of a Highlander tournament this year, nymthae? Even an unofficial one?
Probably not. I mean, John last year was running one, not John, Rob from Team Awesome.
Yeah.
But he's kind of, I think, given up on TF2 and disappeared off the internet or something. So, no, there's not really any time in terms of myself and Firestorm's time. We've got plenty to do otherwise, so it's quite difficult to balance at the same time. I don't want to detract. There's obviously quite a lot of players involved in the Sixers tournament as well as the Highlander, and I find the Highlander people, well, actually last year was quite a good turnout, but a lot of historically we've done on the side, people don't really take seriously, or they just kind of give up and end up defaulting half the games, and it's a waste of everyone's time then, which is really unfortunate, but seems to be the way a lot of teams go about it at LAN. So.
But luckily Highlander have their own LAN now, Deutschland.
Well, yeah.
They've completed their fundraiser, they're going for their stretch goals. They have been really out there with the promotion, the show matches, everything. They've done a great job. John's here on the camera. Congratulations, John. But on the subject of I-55, I want to jump into the TFTV thread. I did ask people to submit questions. I wasn't really holding out for much, but I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here, and the first one I see, does Kaidus have hair on his head? What's under that hat, buddy?
It's a LAN secret. It'll only be revealed at I-55.
I'm just refreshed while there. Teapot asks, is this still happening? Yes, yes it is. Oh, there's a second page as well here. Let me go. Okay. What are your predictions for the twitch.tv viewership during the event? I guess I'll throw that one to Dashner.
That's a good question. I'm hoping that the stream list is implemented by I-55, but obviously not counting on it. It could range from what we had last year to maybe even up to 15,000, 20,000 if the stream list is implemented.
So last year, was it 5,000?
It was 5,000 on average during just the normal games. The finals, I think Mana maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was around 8,000, maybe up to 10,000 for the finals.
I think it was closer to 10,000 generally.
I think we had about 8 on ours, the primary one, and then about a bit more on the multiplayer one or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's along those numbers, yeah.
That's an interesting little facet as well. Maybe an exclusive here, Dashner, nymthae. Did I hear you guys saying that we're going to be doing our own final this year? Is that confirmed?
That is confirmed, yeah.
How do you feel about that, Dashner? Is that
Oh,
good?
baby.
It could be good. I think a lot of people have realized that last year 10 a.m. was kind of bullshit to have a finals then. A lot of people getting up really early, but I think people in the past 3 years have really underappreciated what the stage final means. That multiplayer honestly does a really good job for the most part. I-52 maybe not. There's kind of a lot of mistakes, but I mean, we're not going to be able to replicate the multiplayer stage finals. We're going to do our best. I have some ideas on how to do that, but it's going to be hard to match that. And for the finals of an event like I-55, like I really don't want something so anticlimactic as the finals being played from the players' seats. Like, I really want it to be something special. The finals atmosphere is a big part of the I-Series experience, and we're going to do our best to replicate that.
What's your problem with them playing from their seats? Is it that you want them up on a stage in sight of the crowd?
There's two issues. One is that. The second is something I've learned at GXL when I saw the CEVO finals going on for CSGO, is that it's really, really distracting for the players to have people crowding around them, behind them, and there needs to be some kind of like order. Because it's just going to be, with the amount of TF2 players that are going to be there trying to spectate the players, it's just going to be absolute insanity. I mean, you saw some of that last year with I-52 Epsilon, just the amount of drunk people just crowding around them in the finals, like the lower bracket finals, but still.
That was just the Enigma Zone crew.
Bit more
so
than that.
like,
I know Coleman is responsible for most of it, maybe, but
so it's like, you know, we complained a little bit last year. The final was anticlimactic. On one hand, because Epsilon got smashed, but also the timing, etc. Now multiplayer have given us the chance. It's entirely on us to make this a spectacle. But like you say, there are some things. nymthae, what are you going to do about this? How are we going to be able to have a little tiny stage, first stage in the middle of it, but also get the teams on stage for a grand final? Is it feasible, or what sort of workarounds could there be there?
Well, I think I can't see any. As long as we've got the space to do it, we'd probably just get some tables set up and they can move their gear over. We'll have plenty of time to do that. We can set up what we want, keep the players away from the audience, and we can sort of build some kind of area. But I mean, it's never going to be the same as a big stage, but actually all the tournaments have actually been relegated from the main stage and are on the esports stage now, as they call it, which is what we had last year for the Team Fortress.
The basement.
Yeah, the basement stage. So that's now the esports stage. So we've been relegated a step further, but I think we've got a lot of freedom. That's the bonus of this.
Yeah.
We might not necessarily have chosen it, but we have discussed this before about asking whether to do this to get around the timing issue. So I think we'll make the best of it, and me and Firestorm will do our best to work around it with multiplayer.
Yeah, I personally think we can pull it off. I'm pretty confident that we can.
Yeah, like when I first read that in the Slack, I was like, "Oh, this is great news! You know, it's what we wanted before." But
it's great news for you guys, not really great for me. It presents a huge challenge that production's going to have to tackle. It's going to be great for the audience not to have to wake up as early, and they are going to get a good show, but it's another headache for me, and I've had a lot this summer.
Potentially, it's going to be awesome. Obviously, you've got some things to work through there to try and figure out. But gun to your head, Dashner, is I-55 going to be bigger and better than I-52?
I mean, the stream, I think, is going to be a bit improved. Like, I-52, in my mind, was the best stream ever for TF2, and we're going to try to build on that. In terms of the competition, I don't know. Tech and Ascent are both worrying me. I think if they come to the event and they play at their best, I think the only thing we could say about I-55 compared to the I-52 is that the Australian should have been there. Other than that, I think, yes, it will be better than I-52.
Dashner, I was trying to set you up to just hype up Twitch chat there, but I forgot you're just a realist, man. You've given us some analysis there that I'm interested to riff off. Kaidus, do you think the standard of teams attending I-55 is better or worse than I-52? Is it too soon to judge?
It's way better from a European perspective. Like to be brutally honest, like in hindsight, the teams last year for Europe were pretty bad. Like Epsilon were good, but I mean there was this little debate even on the Threader thing. Like Epsilon were a good team last year, but for an Epsilon team they were not good. They were bad, like has to be said. And by the time my team got there, we were burnt out, and half of us hated each other. Everyone hated me, but we were dog shit basically. And the Reason team were like newly formed and beefed it completely. I mean, I can't talk about the Americans, you know. Like Phototech are probably gonna be slightly weaker, but maybe not, maybe. And the Australians won't be there, but then Ascent are there. So, you know, you end up with a similar number of teams, but the overall quality is probably going to be higher. But we won't really know, you know, till we get there. But it looks good, like on paper.
It's going to be the most competitive LAN, for sure.
I'll agree with that, yeah, absolutely.
And we did talk a little bit about, you know, uniforms, orgs, sponsors. What I want to know, nymthae, do we have a tournament sponsor announced yet? Any idea of what the prize pot's going to be at all?
Well, we've got money. We definitely know there's £5,000 up. That's fine. There's no name listed on the tournament listing right now, which makes me think Multiplayer put up the money. So this is another sort of piece of evidence that says Multiplayer fully behind us, and they've been very good to us over the years. So yeah, I don't know whether they'll get a sponsor through. They might do. I think in the past they've given us the pot and said, and these, but then later have come back with an actual sponsor. So they might do something later down the line. They could be finalising details, but so we're not panicking. We know there's money there, so obviously the American teams are slightly safer to book everything now.
Mr. Slynn, if you're listening, you know, just get Twitch to sponsor the event, maybe, you know.
We'll happily take more money, any more money anyone wants to give us.
Sound good?
You can have all the branding, everything.
John, save us.
I want to jump back to the questions here. Ether, who asked about the Twitch viewership, also asks, will the viewers at the event be mic'd this time, Dashner? Are you going to try and capture that crowd audio, or is that a question for Aaron?
Oh no, we're definitely going to do that. Having Aaron there, our past setups with Mumble and everything have been simple. They work, but having Aaron there and all this audio equipment, like over $2,000 worth, opens up a lot of possibilities for us. And we're definitely going to be miking up the crowd. Again, the big reason why I fell in love with iSeries was the atmosphere. And we're definitely going to be doing our best to capture that. So yeah, we're definitely going to be miking up the crowd. And the audio in general is just going to be such a huge step up from last year.
I got a loaded question for you, Mana, also from Ether. He says, will the rivalry between NA and EU ever end?
It's appropriate you asked me that, but no, definitely not. It will always be a great friendly rivalry. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a really fun rivalry.
Is there even a rivalry anymore after Fruyotech humiliated Europe last year?
It's just a massacre, but maybe this year something different will happen.
I'm beating Twitch chat, you know. Yeah, that would be like a really popular result if Fruyotech lost. And that would perhaps encourage them, you know, to try harder, etc. But we've had this historical back and forth where NA came over and smashed us the first time. I was watching the Legend of Darn video, and, you know, Treetune has it edited. It's really cool because it's like Darn saying, oh yeah, there's going to be big changes when he's talking to Sal, and then it's like next year how Epsilon and Broder ended up in the final. But obviously we didn't have an A52 movie, but Fruyotech came back and they won. So is it now Europe's turn, kaidus? Do you feel like there's an energy amongst the EU teams that they can do it this time, where they want to do it, they have that drive? Does Nox want revenge?
Yeah, like, I guess. Like, I don't know. Obviously everyone wants to win,
fucking,
you know.
passion, man!
Well, like, yeah, we want to win, but I don't know, like, you're asking me about, I can talk for my team, like, we want to win, we want to be Fruyotech. I know there's some, one or two individuals with, no love loss, but I can't really speak for the other European teams. I mean, there's no, like, real, like, European bond between the teams, like, you know, we must beat the Americans. To be honest, I feel like the European teams want to beat each other as much as they do the Americans. So, I mean, it's there, but it's not like the be-all, end-all, I don't think, for the teams. Everyone just wants to win, you know, for their own reasons, their own sake, their own gain, which is fair enough in itself, you know. It's going to promote the same competition you'd get anyway.
You've got something to prove, man. You know, you have to shake off the curse of kaidus.
Told you, man. We just
Another
do whatever
man,
we did online. We won online. It's already in the bag.
another person with something to prove is Warrior, demo man of I-49. Wasn't quite the demo man of I-52, but he is rumored, maybe confirmed actually, to be playing for the last resort.
He's tagged up for TLR.
Okay, Heist injured himself. Another shoulder injury at the gym, I believe. Guy never learns. But Warrior is going to be playing there for him. That's their roster finalized for LAN. I think, is Shadowburn coming? nymthae? The Russians going to let him leave?
I hope so. I did get the agreement that Multiplay would send him like an official invitation so he'd get his visa processed, but no one ever really followed up on me and gave me any details, so it's not been done yet. So, you know, if you're listening, maybe you could send me something and that might help. I don't know how much difference it will make at this point, but we can send some fancy letter and hope the Russians take it.
Vladimir Putin, if you're watching this show, please let Shadowburn go to LAN. But on the subject of rosters, kaidus, of course, we have to ask you, do you have a second scout confirmed? Who's going to partner Hathikul at LAN?
It's not confirmed, but we're trying. Like, we're playing with Forsaken at the moment. We aren't really.
Oh snap!
Forsaken?
Oh snap!
Like, we're not really looking at anyone else, but it's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to confirm it because Captain's on holiday. Like, he's in Italy at the moment. Then he's in France next week. We're back on like the 1st. We worked out earlier. And on top of that, like, no one's until like yesterday or whatever. Like, no other teams really wanted to play. Like, everyone was taking breaks or just couldn't be asked, or for some reason they weren't playing. So like, we only really started playing with Mercs like this week, and we haven't really learned anything about anything yet. So it's kind of an ongoing process, but we're not really looking at anyone else.
Fill in the gaps for me here, man. What happened to Bash and Shocky? They were your two prime candidates like a week ago. Where did that go?
I don't know, man. What kind of happened off stage? I didn't really catch what happened. Like, Stefan had something where he didn't think he could make LAN. Like, he finds out sometime in August if he could go. You know, and it's really like too late notice. Like, to be honest with you, I don't even know. Like, if he turns around and says, "Okay, actually, I'm free that weekend," like, I don't know what that would mean for us. Like, might mean nothing. I have no idea what the others think. Like, for Bash, I don't really know what happened there. Like, I was happy to play with Bash as well. I think some of the others decided it wasn't the best course for us, but these conversations all kind of happened without my involvement, and I just, like, it's fine. Like, it's fine by me, but yeah, I don't really know the reasoning in detail. I wasn't really involved in those dialogues.
Do you have I don't mean to say, but do you have a strong preference for who you end up playing with as that scout, or you just want someone who the rest of the team?
Yeah, like, I'm pretty much happy to play with whoever the others decide they want to play with. Like, I'd have been fine with Bash. I'll be fine if the others decide Forsaken is the one, or if they say they all shit and we're gonna get Sideshow. Like, trust them. Basically, fine to play with whoever.
I'd love to see Forsaken there, to be honest. I remember actually, whenever it was first came out or whatever, that you needed a replacement for Kyler. I was thinking, you know, like Sam or something, and then I looked at realtalk.tv, great website, and I saw Forsaken's name up there in the list of potential candidates. But really, I think it makes a lot of sense, or it would be impressive to see. Does he actually live in Scotland? Is it easy for him to attend?
Like, I think he studies in Scotland, and like, I don't know him that well, to be honest, but to my understanding, could be wrong, he studies in Scotland. So, you know, he has no problems getting to the UK with a computer or whatever. He's done it all before a million times. I'm guessing school starts back up in end of September, so maybe he's just going to come end of August and stay there until it starts, or he's going to go back again, or I don't really know, to be honest, but I don't think it's a problem for him. It's like, again, it's not a conversation I had with him, someone else had it, and I just was told it would all be fine, so it's like, cool, but I don't really know the info.
So it's kind of going to be like these changing faces of reason that we keep saying. It's, you know, the story of your season back when you lost to Dogs, then due to the LAN availability you made the big roster changes, then Stefan just steps in for the last couple of games like he's been playing Like he hasn't been out of the Prem for the last few seasons, but now you're faced with more uncertainty again. Like obviously Forsaken's good, but Stefan had this like years of history with Mike and Nox, where he was able to, and he's obviously an incredibly intelligent scout as well. Forsaken maybe a little bit more rash, maybe a little bit less predictable. He is a smart guy and a good reader of the game, but how long is it going to take you to adapt to that? Is that going to... Are Nerdbase going to be the number one team?
Well, that's just crazy talk, but that's what I mean. Like, the question for us isn't like, is Forsaken good enough? It's like, are we going to make it work, in a month or whatever, how long it is? And that's why I say, like, we're kind of stalling on it a bit because Captain's not here. Like, I mean, we played with some strange mercs and had some really just random, like, games, when no one was really focused and things like that. It's quite hard to, when you're trying, like, a new player and you already have, like, a sub for someone else, quite hard to really feel anything out and decide if it's working or not for real. But that's kind of what's, like, slowed everything down. Like, if we had a season, it's not a question, is Forsaken good enough? It's just, do we have time to make it work? Like, is it a natural enough fit to make it work in a month?
I'm aware that nymthae has disappeared from both Mumble and Skype. Did she say anything before leaving, Dashner? I
didn't hear anything, no.
Nothing on Mumble. I'm looking at the chat here. She's just on a runner, guys. Sorry. I'm gonna jump on back to the questions thread. I wish I'd read some of these beforehand. Chill Collins, the man, the legend, asks if War is playing for TLR, will he or won't he be casting Dashner, the third most popular caster in Europe this year or this season?
If it comes to the point where TLR is out of it, I would like to get War on. I mean, before War signed up with TLR, he was very keen on coming on, casting, analyzing. He was actually one of the motivations for us to get this analyst disc idea together. So if War will definitely be on, hopefully, if TLR is knocked out.
We got confirmation here, actually, from Firestorm that nymthae's internet has died. Rest in peace.
Dropping like flies.
Moving on up the questions then. Is the pizza tower going to be bigger this year? Asks Popcorn. Who is the man? Who would know? Mana, do you have any idea? Do you have any designs on a grander pizza tower?
Oh, what?
I guess you had to be there last year. You're such a newbie, Mana. But they built a giant tower of empty pizza boxes in the BYOC area last year. It was on the Dagner's LAN Love video. You missed it?
I know. I was too busy working a real job.
It's pathetic, man.
Mana's the man to do that if it does happen again.
How good is your Jenga game? How good is your Jenga game, Mana? Do you have the hands for building giant towers of pizza boxes?
Yeah, I actually do. Not for any particular reason, but I think I have pretty good agility and coordination. So, yeah, I can do it.
We got some questions here from Hellbent. He's asking who's the new T-Lear demo man. We've already said it's War. Okay, he says, I know this is an EU thing, but I heard the Fragile won't be going for Ascent. I was just wondering if anyone knows who would be going to take his place. Dashner, can you comment on this?
What?
There are things
He's definitely going.
I can't comment on this. I'm not at liberty to be talking about this. We'll probably know what's going on by next week.
Ooh, no comment
so there is
from Dashner. That's implied, Mana. Kaidus, maybe you can answer this one. Is Stark still fucking going by Tony the Tiger?
No, he's not. He's packed it in. He's back because Stark on Steam has been for a week. I mean, he played it all very well over the season, but I think he regretted his decision pretty early on, but just kind of rolled with it. But now that he's because you have the ETF12 nickname rules, you submit your nickname or whatever. They take a reading of your nickname at the start of the season. You have to keep it for every match. But I think when that barrier was lifted, he dispensed with it pretty swiftly.
I think Sideshow had to donate like $30 or something because he kept saying Stark instead of Tony the Tiger. So it worked out well in that fact. We got a little question here. Ascent greater than Froyo tonight. Kaidus, have you been following the ESEA playoffs?
I've been following it, like, kind of. Like, I've watched the playoff games, but I don't know, man. This season of ESEA has been dog shit. Like, as an outsider watching, it's been absolute dog shit to follow. Between like ESEA just beefing it at every turn, and I don't know if TFTV, if they just were like, fuck it, we can't be asked to like, you know, gamble with our time every night on if there's actually going to be a game or not. But like, the coverage wasn't really there for large parts of the season, so I've kind of lost touch with it a little bit, to be honest. I don't think they are though. Like, I think Froyo will probably win that game. But I mean, they both look kind of strange. Like the only game of note I watched of either team in a long time was, you know, the first round of the playoffs where everything got fucked up, and then they had to play the third map another night. Like, I don't know. Like, if they both show up and play like that, like Froyo's gonna win in some AIDS messy like shit game. But I would expect them both to play better than they played that night. I think they've kind of had wake up calls maybe, but I haven't followed it too closely.
Dashner, are you going to take the bait there? Kaidus calling out those North American production scrubs, the NA division of TFTV. You didn't even cast every game this season. We've been doing it for 2 seasons in a row here in Europe. What's going on?
Well,
all right, real talk, actual real talk.
I mean, it was kind of
this?
It was kind of hard to schedule this season because of all the client issues, and given the fact that usually I help Mana out because Mana's a busy guy, he can't handle scheduling all the time. I usually take up the slack for him, and I started my first season full-time of CSGO with CFO this season, so yeah, it would make sense that we didn't have as many casts this season, but really, having ESEA, having to reschedule every other night, like, completely screwed us.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, like, I was just kind of hypothetically saying what it may have been, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that ESEA was the real problem. Like, this season, it was... They somehow surpassed all their failures of the past and made it even worse.
Yeah, they just decided this season would be a good season to roll out a completely new client, which broke everything, so this season's been kind of hell.
You've been making a kind of progression, Dashner, into the professional world of streaming, like you're saying there. You know, you're doing work for Sivo. How much have you learned through that process? You know, that you're going to be able to bring to I-55.
Doing the online cast, I've learned absolutely nothing. It's pretty much exactly what we do for TFTV. In fact, I think at TFTV we do it better. But where CSGO really shines is what are you laughing at? Where CSGO really shines is the LAN productions. I'm actually heading to MLG LAN for the CEVO finals this weekend, and I'm going to be talking to a lot of their producers and taking notice on what they do. And yeah, like, a big thing I've been trying to put towards I-55 production, if we can handle it, is taking notes on how the big CSGO majors do things and seeing if we can emulate that sort of style. And that's kind of what Skyride was doing before when he was trying to do production at I-49 for TFTV. He was doing a similar sort of process, and he never really got the opportunity to show that off. And I took a lot of inspiration of what Skyride was doing initially before he left the scene.
Skyride used to be he used to be like he who shall not be named, but you know, Byte's not here anymore. There's no bad blood, Skyride. TFTV won the war. Get wrecked, Vanilla. nymthae's back with us now. Do you want to explain yourself? Where have you been? This is unacceptable.
I ran away to avoid difficult questions about medic unlocks, or medic drops, or whatever it is you're probably going to ask me.
Oh shit, I totally forgot about that. I didn't happen to see that little bastard Sideshow on your travels, you know?
No. He's long gone.
That is a big topic of conversation. Something I was discussing on Slack earlier. I'm still... since the gunmetal update, you've been able to pick up mediguns, and they made it so that they keep their full charge. Every league banned it because it was mid-season. UGC first, then ETFTL, ESEA. Right? It's banned everywhere. But as I understand it, I-55 are going to allow it.
Well, yeah, there's no official word yet. We're sat on it, but because it's been banned it's obvious why it's been banned mid-season. It's mid-season. You don't fuck it up then, but it doesn't. I mean, if the change is permanent, we have to deal with it at some point. It's a ridiculous thing to police, and maybe we have to be the start of it. But if there's enough advance warning on it, I don't see why it can't be done for the I-55. But I think I agree with what you were saying earlier, which is we'd probably be very interested to know whether this is a permanent change, whether it's something Valve are affected.
Rest
in
peace.
Nymthae's car mid-sentence.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I don't know.
We'll ask the guys at Valve what they think about it. I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, so like obviously the teamfortress.tv Slack, we sent the letter to Valve. We sent all these guys out to Seattle. We have some sort of beginnings of a working relationship with Valve. But whenever this new game mechanic was introduced, you know, there was a lot of bug fixes and stuff. People were waiting to see what happened. But this remained in the game, and like we've talked about it at length before in other fully charged episodes and stuff, the way it can really change the meta. Like imagine your medic gets picked holding last, it doesn't matter, he can just respawn and take his Uber back. Like it kind of devalues the medic pick in a lot of situations, and then it leads to all sorts of other shenanigans. But at the same time, since I don't play the game so much anymore, I just wanted to leave it on and let everyone fucking suffer and endure, and Valve could maybe see that it needed some sort of tweaking. But we haven't actually raised this issue to Valve through our sort of line of communication, but I feel like we probably should before I-55 see if they want to make a change, or if it's something.
What do you think, kaidus?
I think like I feel like it's the kind of thing. It's really really like annoying timing, because it's the kind of thing that I can see why they would want to see evidence before changing it, because like they purposely implemented this, you know, like they did the gunmetal update, and then the day after they brought out an update saying they were fixing gun percentages for picked up items. So like there's no debate about whether they intended it like this, but like I don't know.
Did they intend it just to sort of have a level of equality with every other weapon? Like they kept their clip.
Like I don't know how to phrase this. I was ranting on about it for 20 minutes, but it's like it is something we should test. Like the thing is, we should test it, but you know what the results of the tests are going to be. The question is just, do we do those tests now and potentially like fuck I-55 over, or do we just leave for like another day? Because I don't really see Valve changing something they did so purposefully without like some proof. Because right now we don't really have proof other than theories. But I don't know. Like it's really not good. It's really not good for the game. It could be quite easily fixed to make it like actually an interesting feature. But it's just the timing that's made it so messed up. Because when we could test it, like if nymthae wants kind of to actually have seen it like at work before making a decision, like we could do this, but then everyone who plays the game in invite or prem knows what the result of this would be. So it's like, do we really want to throw a week or two of legitimate practice away for that? Because everyone knows what the result's going to be. It's shit, basically. It has to be changed. And if Valve like don't want to change it like at all, then there's like a real problem there, because it's really not a good feature. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We just need to ask them.
Yeah, basically that's what it comes
we
down
didn't want to. People are in Twitch chat saying like, why don't you just ask? Obviously, yes, but like I guess out of respect, we didn't want to jump the gun and say, you know, because of like the fact they did make that change to make it that the full percentage was kept over. We didn't want to be like, we know better than you, or I don't know. I don't think like necessarily we're walking on eggshells, but we wanted to give it some time to breathe. But now I feel is the time to act. What do you think, Mana?
Yeah, I think now is a good time to really craft a response to them, a really reasoned response. So with Valve, you got to be a little bit careful. One thing is that we aren't the only players in the game. Like obviously, there's a lot of other people playing this game and emailing them all the time. So we got to be a little bit more careful. Just make sure we put out a good email, basically. It's
like a change that probably means nothing to 99% of TF2 players, or it's like very minimal impact on how the pub game plays or whatever. But in sixes, like where the medic is so valued, and like the mediguns are the most powerful weapons in the game. This is a huge huge change or potentially huge impact. People think it's the Demo Man is the OP class, but it's Medic Man. He can make people invulnerable. But yeah, there is a tournament coming up. Sideshow is working on putting together an invitational. We've mentioned it before. It's going to be the top 7 Euro teams plus Froyotech playing at a ping disadvantage, and that will be, you know, sometime maybe the second week of August. That's an opportunity where we could test it out and demonstrate, you know, that this isn't a good change.
But why would we throw a tournament down the shitter for testing something we already know? Like, if you need just like some empirical proof, like for Valve or whatever, you can get that without like taking a dump on a decent tournament.
Yeah, I agree. We just need to ask Valve.
Sideshow's in charge, so
that's the long and the short of it. We just need to, you know, put together an email. The Supreme Commander, get on it. He's our top writer.
The thing is, like, it's such an easy thing for Valve to compromise with, like, because you say, like, we're not the only people playing this game, and pubbers aren't really going to care. Like, pubbers will probably think it's cool being able to pick up a gun with Uber still in it, but, like we said before on, like, other fully charged, if they just changed it a bit, so, like, the Uber decayed, or like, just a standard rate of Uber was lost when it dropped, like, if you drop, then it's, like, cut in half, or, like, 30% is taken off, or 40% or whatever. Like, pubbers won't mind that, you know, they're still going to be picking up these guns with more Uber in it than they already have, and they're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be like, oh shit, that medic on the other team dropped, I gotta go get that gun, you know, they're just going to randomly stumble upon it and pick it up, and it's like, oh, okay, it's got this amount of charge in it, whatever, cool. So it's so easy for, like, that sort of thing to happen, so it really just depends on what was their motivation for doing it. Like, did they really take a look at the game or the upcoming matchmaking and say, we want this in? Or did they just want it to be more incentive to pick the guns up or whatever, you know? If it's the latter, then it's no problem really. It's just a question of when they fix it, if they actually, you know, respect the opinion of the comp community or whatever. But if it's like, if they actually thought about it, like, yeah, we want this, then that's actually like a legitimate problem.
I see nymthae back in Mumble. Can you hear us?
I can, yeah. I don't know what's going on, so sorry.
Have you been following this conversation, or have you been just without internet connection?
No, I haven't heard any of that. I'm guessing it was Kaidus complaining, but I don't know.
You know me, just complaining away.
Tell us about your stance. I know we were talking about it, but you cut out mid-sentence about the minigun pickup on the tournament stance for I-55.
Yeah. It's still up in the air. It's probable that, well, I mean, things could change, so we kind of need to get a view of what's going on. I don't see why it couldn't be allowed, given enough notice, which probably needs to be very, very soon. So, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know, did anything, well, the idea is that we kind of, do you think we'll probably get an idea of whether it's permanent, whether it's a test, or...
I think we could get an answer from Valve. We just haven't done anything.
We'll find out soon, I think.
Because, I mean, that sort of thing to me is quite worthwhile to see how it is. I mean, if it's something they want in there, and they're pretty much laying down the law in it, then the leagues are probably going to go forward with it. It is a difficult thing to police. People are going to spend half their land looking back at demos, trying to work out if they got screwed by 10% advantage from a drop minigun.
Is that why your sort of main motivation behind this original intention to allow it, just because it's easier to police that way, or there's no need to police it?
Partly, but I mean, I think it's a lot of games for me are always moving on. Everything's always developing. TF2 is quite stale in that respect. We've got to change, and we're all just running away from it right now. So I don't know, but I think right now we're unsure about it. That's fine. You're allowed to be unsure, but I think after you've played about it, and you get used to it. I don't know. I think it's got some interesting points to it. It could be quite exciting. Again, I've played with it, and I also think it's quite game-breaking as well. It really does have that snowboarding effect. So, yeah, no, it's a difficult one. So,
like, ultimately, if the players are up in arms about it, will you listen to them?
Maybe, but I'm not just going to pander to people either. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll keep that one secret for now, shall we?
Thing is, like, I kind of agree with what you say. Like, TF2 as a game is it has gotten pretty stale, and the players, especially like the upper end of the scene, like historically, have been very kind of resistant to change. But changes should really, they should add more options. They shouldn't really like this change. It only really removes like options. Like there's never really a time in a game where you can kill a medic and you think, nah, I'm not going to kill that medic. Like, so it doesn't really like make you make any different decisions like that. But like, it just means you can't do things that you used to be able to do. Like, there's no new strategies other than just picking up a gun. Like, there's never going to be a situation where you killed a medic specifically to pick up that gun, you know? You would kill that medic anyway, and now it's just like, oh, now I got a fat load of Uber advantage as well. It's like, you don't do anything different, you just then have like a snowballing advantage, and it removes loads of things you used to do. Like, sacrificing for the medic and things like that on last, and like these kind of options. Like, I don't know, some people say it would help alleviate those stalemates because teams now can't really do sacks, but all it's going to do is it just removes that one option, and teams are still going to stalemate it out, you know? They're just going to bring out snipers instead, and it's going to actually slow things down even more because you have one less thing you can try now. You just have to stick with the same shit, and it gets even more stale. I think, anyway.
Hardly ever saw wouldn't have happened at I-52 with these rules. Probably not. I don't think, anyway.
Alright, I'm going to put that one to bed, because I guess it really is on us to just reach out to Valve and see if they want to humour us with a change to the mechanic, a slight tweak.
We'll definitely ask them.
So, I got a question then, and it's something that I should have mentioned at the time. You said 6-team invite group. Alarm bells were ringing, but I didn't listen. How are you going to decide who those 6 teams are? You know, I could see an obvious 5 there.
Yeah.
But that 6 team, is there going to be some qualifier for the invite group, or?
Well, I think it's probably up to the teams that think there might be a chance there to make themselves known a little bit. I think it's quite obvious who the top kind of 4, maybe 5 are there, as you say. So if there are a couple of teams, which I guess are, you know, thinking Saints, these sort of teams that are cropping up going, ooh, we're reforming. So maybe we could do an online playoff, and this would be great for building hype before the event. Mm-hmm. I would happily let that go ahead. I mean, chances are both teams, the advantage of being in the group is you are guaranteed a seed through to the elimination, but whichever team doesn't get that is going to go through anyway, unless something really badly goes wrong, in which case they didn't deserve to go through anyway. But obviously you do miss out a day of playing against very high quality teams. So, but I think we could do a big playoff, and that would be really good, as long as the teams are willing to do that. And if they're not, well, they'll have to lump it if they don't get a spot.
I mean, Dogs would be the obvious first choice, but then we do have the return of the Saints LAN team. What other teams are there floating around there, kaidus, around that level? Or is it just Dogs and Saints? Is there an alley team?
Like, to my knowledge, it is really only Dogs and Saints that could probably fill those 5th and 6th spots. I mean, I think I read Hilldrift is making a team, and like Hilldrift's LAN teams are always kind of around that level. Like, I mean, last year I think it was one of Hilldrift's teams, they beat Girl in the brackets. I mean, not that Girl were like legit contenders, but I mean, you know, they're kind of floating around there.
Would have been in the groups. It was they requested not to be because Hilldrift and 2 other players were missing, I think, Friday night quite late. So there's practicalities as well. We actually want to make sure there's a 16 that can play.
Yeah,
I don't think that'll be a problem.
I think Sideshow was maybe considering like if there was any question marks around the seedings or who would make it into the groups or anything like that. That, like, you know, he's running a cup before, so as long as, I mean, what is it, 8 teams? Like, there's going to be like several teams that like won't definitely be in the invite bracket, in the invite group, playing in that cup probably. So as long as they're there and willing to play, you could in theory use the seedings that come out of that. But then actually, I don't know if that's such a good idea, because it could just be that like Saints get knocked out by 2 teams in the top 3 or whatever, you know, so it might not actually be fair that way, but potentially anyway.
Got a message from Hilda here saying, I won't be making a team as good as Dogs or Saints. I don't know if he's just trying to downplay his chances before he does the big roster review at the time, but that remains to be seen. I'm looking at the questions again here.
Like, Saints are only there, like, while you look, Saints are only good on paper. I mean, it's a similar roster, I guess, to what we've seen before, but I mean, they never really made many waves at LAN like before. They were always just kind of the bottom of the invite barrel. So I think if there are teams, even of a similar level, they should maybe consider themselves competitors to Saints, because you don't know really how good Saints are going to be.
On the event thread, Eon asks, will there be a grand tournament like every year with worse teams, etc. I think he's talking about the tournament outside the invite group. Like, how many teams did we have last year in nymthae, or how many teams might you be expecting this year? Will it be bigger or about the same?
I think we had 28 teams in total, so we had 20 for the what I call open groups. I don't really, it's hard to tell right now. We don't have an attendance list with the change in booking system, but I think I gave an estimate of about 25 teams, but that's literally a guess, sort of going on a probably similar to last year, but for some reason probably a couple less.
If you are attending I-55, you spam Twitch chat, that'll give us an idea how many people are going. There's a question here, can the Putmobile make a triumphant return? Unfortunately, Sideshow just left mid-show. I think he said it was coming?
I said it wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't? Damn it.
He said he'll be there in a different car, because literally every LAN he fucks up someone's LAN by offering them a lift. It was Stark last year, that's why something acted so bad, by the way. Stark was tired from the Putmobile.
Termo asks, will Mike and Numlocked embrace once more? But that leads on to a question that Sideshow was asking whenever we were off air pre-show. He wanted to know if kaidus would kiss Mike open mouth with tongues, I think, if they won the tournament. kaidus?
Depends, you know.
He's not a minor anymore, like, he's grown up into a fine young man.
Well, that's good. That's good. I won't go to jail if that happens.
It's not like the old days where Mike's granny and granddad would bring him to LAN with his fucking unicycle. Our boy's grown up, man. Oh my god. TF2 LAN history. nymthae's disappeared again. Been on the air for like an hour right now. Mana, Dashner, you know. Are there any burning issues that you feel I haven't brought into the spotlight here?
Nothing comes to mind, no.
The only thing that comes to mind is go donate to the production fundraiser, because I really need to get tagged over there again. I think it's really underappreciated how much he does for TFTV events. I've relied on his photography and videography for every single event since after I-52, and all the images you see in the articles, all the video you see in the intros, outros, it comes from Tag. And David is spamming at me to talk about seats in the tent, but I don't know what that means.
I think he wants
seats in the tent.
Yeah.
Something
because TF2's there, so you wanna be close to everyone.
I wanted
sit in the tent near the stage.
I wanted to ask nymthae, you know, like, or advise people who are still on the fence or thinking of attending. Where should they sit, Dashner?
Like I said, in the tent near the stage. Unless you don't like loud noises like Nerd Rage, and maybe you can sit a bit further away. Because
we did anger some Dota players last year because they had all been assigned to the area where our stage was. There was like really no TF2 players there.
Well, Multiplay specifically said in their press release, if you don't like loud noises, stay away from the great area near the tent. Specifically said that's where the stage is going to be, and it's going to be loud. I already see some Dota 2 and CSGO players sitting right next to it too, so we'll see what happens.
We're going to win them over. I mean, we're not going to be on the main multiplayer stream, so we that's a missed opportunity to, you know, spread the TF2 gospel, but you can just indoctrinate people directly, like, within reaching distance, within touching distance of you, reach out and make them believe in TF2. There's no more questions on the thread here.
I'll actually add as a last note, if there's a chance that you can make it to this event, this is the time to go. You won't regret it, I promise. I've gone to a bunch of events, just paid all on my own, and it's always been worth it. Every single one of them. And this includes like 5 ESEA LANs I didn't even play, GXL, and a couple LAN fests. So I'm super excited to be going to I-55 in I-Series finally. And I hope you do too, because it'll be really fun. And I think in general, the production staff and like all the players, they'll have time to like hang out and stuff. I know I'll definitely want to hang out with people for sure. It's pretty much what I do at every LAN I can. So.
Yes. Another thing too, like I usually don't like saying definitive things like this, but I think this will be the best event I'll ever be at for TF2, and it might be the last major one.
Yeah,
For me, anyway.
that's true. It could be for me too.
Every year, all these fuckers come out and say, "This is my last LAN. I'm not going to LAN
I didn't say
again."
that last year.
I've seen it. I mean, you, but there's always people who are saying this is the end, man. TF2's gone as far as it can, and somehow
Well, I don't
here
think it's the end, but I think it's just
bigger and better.
I'm not.
Even,
I'm just really not sure if I can make it any
your personal journey
to
TF2.
England. Well, we'll see what happens. Like, I'm not counting it out. Like, I would love to be more involved, but we kind of have to just wait and see for a bit.
I personally can't spend a year of my life trying to make an event like this happen again, so might be the last one for me.
You're gonna pass that baton. You only had it for 1 year after Byte, but
yeah, I have a lot of respect for Byte after what I've gone through this year.
Can anyone answer Dr. Leon's question? He's messaged me on Steam. Big truth. The truth. He wants to know if spectator tickets have run out. What is the situation if you want to attend as a spectator? This would be a good question for nymthae, obviously.
nymthae, as far as I know, they weren't ever sold in the first place. Don't quote me on that, but I know we had to get press passes for sent sponsors who wanted to see them at LAN. Spectator passes were just not an option, but again, don't quote me on that.
Don't they sell like the festival tickets where you don't get any BYOC, but it gets you like camping and access? Or does that not get you access relevant
I heard
areas?
you can't get into the BYOC halls, although somebody was saying you can get into the BYOC halls if you're like being held. If somebody's hand holding you that does have a BYOC ticket into this, I don't know. I'm not really confident this would be.
Like, is it the same as last year, or is it different this time?
There's no spectator tickets this year.
Is that different?
Last year.
There was last
spectator passes, I think.
Huh.
Again, I'm the wrong person to ask about this, though.
That's dumb.
We got plenty of good information out of nymthae. Oh, here's actually David the Win. Firestorm, our other beautiful admin, is saying you need a weekend spectator ticket. If they have run out, he shall have to investigate options. So, yeah, I guess the best way to keep up to speed with what exactly is going on, admin-wise or tournament-wise, event-wise, the ETF2L forums are always a good place. There's usually a couple of threads there that get answered pretty quickly, or you can try and reach out to nymthae or Firestorm directly. I'm gonna move this show towards the exit, before anyone else just disappears. I think we've touched on a lot of things about the production, the event itself, the tournament. We've got some work to do ourselves. We're gonna email Valve. I will take full responsibility for that one. So it'll definitely happen within the next month. Tournament coming up sometime in the second week of August. If Sideshow was here, he could tell us. I'm guessing it was then. But definitely August time for that invitational. It's going to be sick.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one, actually.
Yeah, Alien TF just asks in Twitch, have you guys tried to talk with Valve about promoting or supporting I-55 LAN aside from the blog post? Mana, you could maybe discuss that?
Oh boy. It's not in the cards at the moment. But I know we've poked at them to like send a merch person or something similar to that. But I think that's kind of been stalled out a little bit. So don't count at it. Don't count on it. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Don't count on it.
Got another update here from Firestorm. He said weekend spectator tickets seem to still be on sale, and you can access the halls with those. So there you go, Dr. Leon. And anyone else who's thinking of doing a fanva and just coming over and drinking and watching TF2, the dream is real. Buy yourself a weekend spectator ticket and you will be able to enter the magical new TF2 tent. There's going to be a bar, potentially, with TF2 streamed into it. What more do you want? That's your weekend
covered. And you get into
covered.
the bar without a spectator ticket. Then we might be talking.
Without a spectator ticket? Oh,
well,
sure
without the festival ticket, like, because there was loads of people last time that bought day specs, but then they were restricted only to certain areas. Maybe you can watch TF2 in the bar with one of those. Maybe.
That would be sweet. We'll try to get some answers, maybe, to some of these questions on this thread, or at least on the ATFTL forums. But yeah, that's the big reveal. Everything we know about our plans for I-55. I'm not going. And multiplayer's plans for I-55 do been more than accommodating. Do you feel it's like charity for multiplayer, Dashner? You know, they keep supporting us, even though we're not a real esport.
I'm not a mind reader, but
are you grateful?
Something tells me they're sitting on a lottery ticket and it's about to cash out with matchmaking coming.
Oh yeah, believe the matchmaking hype, guys. Maybe we'll just leave multiplayer for dead. We'll be like, yeah, see you later, multiplayer. DreamHack, baby.
That's a mistake.
I will say the multiplayer seems to be doing a lot for us this year than I've ever seen before. Like, we're getting a lot of helps here, and I'm really appreciative of what they're doing. Like, this event would not be happening. Production would just not be happening without them.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've got a long history with multiplayer. To the point where they're like pretty much the only LAN in Europe back from the days when we used to be able to travel all around. So just want to say thanks to multiplayer. nymthae's just reappeared here on Mumble.
Fuck this.
Do you wanna come
All
on
right,
Skype for the farewell?
Let's cut the VOD right there.
Fuck this.
I think you can just close this out.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mana, would you like to give some shout outs? Would you like to reach out to Twitch, send them a message?
Yeah, sure. Let's to all the boys on the TFTV forums. Shout out to Dashner for carrying this community for like the past year and this next couple months or whatever it is. Shout out to nymthae being a sick admin. Shout out to Admirable for not even showing up to I-55. What's that all about? Keep bugging him. Shout out to Kaidus for being a sick demo man. Okay, end of shout outs. Oh, shout out to John.
I would like to shout out to all the girls on the TFTV forum that Mana forgot about.
Wow.
I'd also like to explain that the reason I'm not going to LAN is because I'm going to be best man for my best mate. So like his stag party is on the same weekend. So
as the best man,
you
get to kind of plan when that is.
Yeah, did you schedule that stag party?
Schedule it yourself.
But it's like it's the last bank holiday weekend for a while, so there's an army of other people going. It's too much of a nice guy, you know. And every time I attend LAN, Europe lose, so I think I'm doing you a favour, Kaidus.
We appreciate it.
Dashner, your shout outs, please.
Well, shout out to everybody who's helped me make this in the last year. I mean, there's been a lot of doubters, a lot of negativity about this event, but it finally came together, and I'm pretty thrilled. And special shout out to Uberchain, who does get a lot of credit for the amount of work she does. We have a lot of cool things cooked up for the I-55 production, source filmmaker wise, and can't wait to show them. Like, it's going to be really good. Can't believe it's only a month away.
Are you worried? Are you panicking, buddy?
Not as much as I was panicking going to I-52. I actually feel pretty confident we're going to pull this off.
I believe in you, Dashner. I want to thank Dashner too. Mana, not so much. Kaidus, give me your shout outs, please.
I don't really have any, but like, I don't know, shout out to everyone who's like working behind the scenes for I-55 and TF2 in general, I guess. Yeah, I don't understand half of what they do, but that tells me it's pretty impressive, so respect to that.
nymthae.
See if I can survive a couple of minutes. My shout out goes to Firestorm, who many of you may not know is actually the other admin for this event and has managed to answer a couple of questions in my short absence. And apart from that, actually to Dashner, who's been a pleasure to work with so far and has been very helpful, so that's very good. Please keep up the hard work and don't die of like a heart attack, because we'd probably feel quite guilty. Just saying.
I don't think I-55 would actually happen if Dashner were to just fall off the face of the earth over the next 5 weeks. No pressure, buddy. Every time you're thinking of crossing the road or something, I want you to just think.
Check again.
What would TF2 do without me? Double check that shit.
I'll do my best.
Don't get run over by a moose in Canada.
One final shout out to our cameraman John, who had to endure that horrible DDoS game earlier and stayed on for fully charged as well. I think the Highlander Nations Cup's going to be coming up, so check that out on Blackout. sure there'll be lots of events scheduled on Team Fortress TV schedule there over the summer. I just want to say schedule as many times as I can because I know it freaks people out if I don't say schedule or schedule. That's going to be the end of the show though, on that bombshell. Good night. Thanks to everyone for tuning in too.